So director George Miller is back with a new movie in his Mad Max franchise, Furiosa.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines!
His previous Mad Max movie, Fury Road, came out in 2015 and was a visual treat. A true cinematic experience that was nominated for 10 Oscars, out of which it won 6. And the original Mad Max film with Mel Gibson was made back in 1979. So Furiosa is a spin-off in the Mad Max universe that tells the story of Imperator Furiosa, the character played by Charlize Theron in Mad Max Fury Road. They show Furiosa's journey from when she's kidnapped as a little girl to her becoming Imperator Furiosa. So well, let's go ahead and take a look at what's good and what's bad in the movie. So this movie is at par with Fury Road when it comes to all the major departments. I mean, sound, cinematography, editing, VFX, production design, you name it. All Oscar nomination worthy. So no real change over there if you've seen Fury Road. Now speaking of the actors, there are some repeat actors from Fury Road, but most of the cast in this movie is relatively new. Starting off with Anya Taylor-Joy playing Furiosa, Chris Hemsworth playing Dementis, the main antagonist in this movie, and you also have Tom Burke as Praetorian Jack, someone who helps Furiosa through her journey. Now Anya Taylor-Joy comes a lot later in the movie. For the most part, in the first half itself, it's the little girl, the younger version of Furiosa that's being portrayed, and you don't really get to see much of Anya Taylor-Joy in that segment of the movie. However, once she comes, there's not a lot of emotional highs or lows in her character. Her character is shown more as cold and stoic, so she's done a good job portraying that. Now Chris Hemsworth does a good job as portraying the antagonist, though with his dark and witty humor at times, you do get a feel of Thor. But nonetheless, he's done a very good job with his role. However, at no point does his character seem really menacing. I mean, he's a threat throughout, but whenever he comes on screen, you're not shitting your pants. And well, Tom Burke has done a decent job as well. To be completely honest, there's not a lot in terms of emotional range with his character, so that might make his performance seem a little flat, at times. But having said that, I feel given what his character was and how it was portrayed, he's done a pretty good job. And I also really feel that it would be nice for the director and the writers to kind of develop Furiosa's and Jack's journey a little bit, give it some emotional highs and lows, just so that when Furiosa goes to take revenge, it's a lot more emotional and a lot more badass. And lastly, the screenplay of this movie is also fairly well done. It's fairly tight-knit and no real slow points or no real dragging moments throughout the film. Having said that, what also works for a movie is that it's divided into different chapters, which are mini stories in itself. So for the most part, since the world is pretty much set and technically you're at the same level as Fury Road, there's not a lot that can go wrong over here. Well, except story, direction, and acting. And fortunately, all of these are intact for the most part, except a few areas where I had a few issues, which I will tell you right now. So they show Furiosa as this kid who's under the custody of the Citadel, and they've locked her in this room with other women whose primary job is to basically bear children for the heads of the Citadel and basically be their wives. Furiosa escapes from this setup and basically turns herself into, a boy. I mean, looks like a boy, cuts her hair off and all of that. And no one, absolutely no one, bothers to find out what happened to this girl they just had custody over, which is also very problematic because she was given custody to the Citadel by Chris Hemsworth in an agreement, which also just makes me wonder how come no one is talking about how this girl just absolutely disappeared. Now as Furiosa grows up, she's shown as a woman. Her hair is sort of long now, and she also has a feminine body structure. And at this point, Jack basically takes her under his wing and tells her that I'll train you to be a road warrior and all of that. And now all that is great, but hey, just one thing. How is the Citadel okay with this random new girl being the lead on all its missions as a road warrior alongside Jack? I mean, Jack has a history because of which they hired him for this job, but hey, this girl, where does she come from? Not a single person asked any questions about it whatsoever. It's also really off because the Citadel is basically an area where women are treated like absolute shit. They're either dying of hunger and poverty or are just kept there to be baby makers for the people high up in the Citadel. So in a situation like this, for them to have a female road warrior without any sort of background check just seemed a little too easy to digest. So I feel even some sort of reference or some sort of a scene or confrontation on these lines would have made a very big difference to the believability of the story. In this case, Jack saying something as basic as, hey, I have recruited her, or she is a relative of mine, I vouch for her, anything. I mean, whatever, writers figure it out, but anything on those lines would have made a huge logical impact to this plot point in the story. Apart from that, I would say that this movie misses that sort of wow factor that Mad Max Fury Road had. And that's also because when Fury Road came out, it was a very visually distinct looking cinematic masterpiece, if I may put it that way. It had some insane, never seen before production design, costumes, VFX, cinematography, the Australian outback. All of this together was a massive cinematic masterpiece. But now, since all that has already been seen before, you miss that oh damn or oh wow factor in this movie, and a lot of emphasis and a lot of importance is then put on the story and direction, which fortunately is good in this case, so it still works, but just doesn't have that oh damn factor. So if you haven't watched the Mad Max series or Fury Road in particular, it is completely fine. You can still absolutely follow this movie from start to finish. There's nothing you're going to miss out over here really. All you need to basically know is that this movie is set in a dystopian world in the Australian outback where people are basically fighting for resources and power. That's about it. Also, I would say that if you haven't watched Fury Road, then definitely go watch this movie, because it is going to give you that wow factor, because it's going to be a very visually different, a very visually unique cinematic experience you're going to get. And please do watch it in IMAX is what I would highly recommend. Also, if you haven't watched Fury Road, I would say watch this and then watch Fury Road on Netflix. So on the whole, I would say Furiosa makes for a very good prequel, a very good story or journey of the character Imperator Furiosa. I would say if you like Fury Road, you like this one. I'm going to go ahead and give it 4 out of 5. Go ahead and drop in your comments and let me know what you thought about the movie if you watched it. Also let me know about what you thought about this review, and if you liked the review, then please go ahead and hit that like button and share this review. Also, please don't forget to go ahead and subscribe to my channel and show it some love. Thank you so much, and I'll see you very soon.